o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo. Ustedes eligen.
Over and over again, my friend just tells me, watch this. It's only 10 episodes. It's on Netflix. I think you're really going to like it. And over again, I'm like, let me finish with some couple of these series and then I'll get into it and we'll see what this is all about. This is about Pablo Escobar. And I'm talking Narcos. Now, I'm Mexican, but I'm pretty sure I said that fucking hella wrong. But we're talking Narcos. And this is created by Chris Brancato. And it's my 10 episodes on Netflix. This was created only one season. It's only one season. It runs about maybe an hour to 57 minutes, 43 minutes. Around that being. This came out in August 28, 2015. It is already scheduled for a second season. So I'm watching this, right? I'm like, I'll give this a chance. I have nothing else. Well, I have a lot of other shows. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of other shows to catch up. But I wanted to check out Narcos and see what my friend was just speaking about and why he loved the series so much. Now, Pablo Escobar, I know a little bit. I know just a little bit of Pablo Escobar from the movie Blow. That's the one with Johnny Depp, where I forgot George. I think Georgie Boy. He actually was. It gives you a scene where he deals in drugs. He traffics drugs for Pablo Escobar. Like they strike a deal with him, and Escobar is this guy you just do not want to mess with. Now, the guy who plays Pablo Escobar in this series, Wagner Moura, and I haven't seen him in anything else. I think there's a couple of people that I thought I've seen before, but I'm pretty sure I have. I just can't remember what I've seen him in before. But Wagner Moura, this guy is phenomenal as Pablo Escobar. Now, I don't know too much about Pablo Escobar and like the actual documentary, films that are out there, or just footage of him, or just overall. But this guy, he has such a great presence in this series. I mean, I was captured by his performance throughout this series. This Pablo Escobar is a mean son of a bitch. All right, this guy is the worst of the worst. He kills kids when he has to. He bombs planes. He's a terrorist. He is trying to become the man of the people, yet he uses the people for his own gain. This guy is the worst of the worst. But Wagner Moura can make these scenes with Pablo and his family seem so sincere, especially with Pablo and his cousin Gustavo. I mean, Wagner just has this look to him. His voice really gives this character a little. I don't want to sympathize with. I'm not saying sympathize with them, but gives them a little bit more humanity. And I think that's what I was missing in John Goodman's performance in 10 Cloverfield Lane, because Pablo is a real nasty guy. You could tell when you watch the series, like, this guy is just insane. He's crazy. He is a terrorist. He is what everybody thinks he is. He's the devil himself. Yet there is some scenes with him, his family, with Gustavo, with some things he does, where he has a little humanity within him. And that's props to the actor Wagner Moura. I think Wagner Moura, hopefully he got a lot of nominations. Hopefully he got some wins, because he did a fantastic job. You think Walter White, aka I can't believe I'm forgetting his name, or Jesse Pinkman, Aaron Paul, or Walter White, Bryan Cranston. You think Bryan Cranston was phenomenal as Walter White? This guy, Wagner Moura as Pablo Escobar, it really just took this show to another level. And his supporting cast was just as phenomenal as well, because the acting is very superb in here. I say superb because it is. These actors feel like real people. I think the only one that doesn't really feel too real is Steve Murphy, who is a DEA agent who's tasked to take down Escobar, and his partner Javier Javier Pena, and I like this duo. I like these two together. At first, I'm like, okay, these two are gonna hate each other, but they really do form a bond, and this bond is taking down Escobar. Escobar is so sneaky and so elusive and so just snake-like that they can't take Escobar down no matter how much they try and how much they do. Even crossing the line, which I absolutely love about the series, is the line. There's a drawn line, and whether you're gonna cross it to catch a guy is up to you, and there's a lot of lines crossed in this series. Now, as much as I love Steve Murphy, who was played by Boyd Holbrook, and I thought he did a great job. He narrates most of the episodes. It's really him telling the story. You sympathize with him as well. You see him kind of, he's of course American. He comes to Colombia to take down Escobar, and you see the transaction. You see the evolved form that he has to take in order to really stick in Colombia, and to really just. He has to get dirty. He has to get dirty. He can't be an honest cop. You have to be dirty in here. And Javier Pena knows that, and he kind of shows him the ropes, and he says either you're all in or you're not. And I think that's what I like about this friendship so much. Of course, at the end of the series, a lot of things happen, so you're gonna have to check it out. But I want to also talk about his wife, Connie Murphy, who's played by Joanna Christie, and I thought she did a great job. I thought she was. They used her very well. They've written her very well. I don't know how much. I'm pretty sure this whole series doesn't have too much of the truth. What I've been reading, it kind of seems like there's interpretation, but a lot of it is based on kind of a lot of footage. They actually use footage from news casters. They use pictures and stuff, so they actually use a lot of the actual people, like Pablo Escobar himself. Pablo Escobar is a little bit bigger if you look at him. But yeah, I mean, but I thought Connie Murphy was actually a great, I don't want to say sidekick, but a great figure right there next to Steve, especially when she's trying to also, she's a ride or die kind of chick in this series, which is kind of really great to see. I think there's two of my favorite characters. I'm going to talk about this one because this guy, hands down, if it wasn't Shane, if it wasn't John Berthal being the Punisher, I would have cast my vote for Maurice Componte as Mauricio Coelho. And Mauricio Coelho is a Colombian police chief, and he is trying to this guy wants Escobar so bad. He wants his ass so bad. He is killing cartels just to get to Escobar. And once he gets to Escobar, he's going to kill the shit out of him. I love Carrillo. There is one particular scene in the series where he threatens Pablo right to his face, and Pablo's like, I'll kill your family, I'll kill your kids, like I have eyes everywhere. And Carrillo just does not back down. He's like, oh, I have eyes everywhere. I know your son had his birthday last week. I know you're walking outside. Like Carrillo, just like, this guy is so possessed and so just wanting to captured Pablo Escobar. This guy he's going through madness because he needs to catch Pablo Escobar, but he does his job well. He knows that his army's corrupt, and there's a lot of corruption in here. There's a lot of like mob-like things you've seen, and maybe like a Martin Scorsese film where there is a lot of informants. There's a lot of people who get paid off. There's a lot of people who are on Pablo's side and not on the government's. But not only that, you have the president in here as well. I think it's you had a couple presidents in here as well. There's a lot of great characters in here where it just, the characters is what draws you in, definitely draws you in, especially the president that is right there trying to take down Escobar as well. But going back to Carrillo, I really did like Carrillo, and I think I would have loved to see more about him, because this guy is a man. He takes his job very seriously. He takes that badge very seriously. He's incorruptible. Even though they try to pay him off, he says, get the fuck out of here or I'm going to kill you. Like, Carrillo is the shit. But not only Carrillo, what the crazy thing is that Pablo's right hand man is his cousin. Okay, his cousin has been pretty much grew up with him. This is like his brother. Like, his cousin is the smart he's so smart. He's the one that sets up everything that needs to happen in order to like threaten the government. He kind of calms Pablo down when Pablo is about to go on a rampage, because if it wasn't for this man, Pablo, I think, would have been way worse, and he would have been caught a long time ago. But I think it's so crazy how this guy is just as bad as Pablo, but yet the actor Luis Guzman, not Luis Guzman, Juan Pablo Rabah, I mean, he plays Gustavo Gaviria so great. I mean, Gustavo is one of my favorite characters, and it's hard to say that because this guy's because he is part of Pablo's cartel, because he is still a bad guy. Yet when you watch this series, you really kind of sympathize him. You really see what he's trying to do. He's trying to tell Pablo to stop the war. What are you doing? Like, you're killing all of us. Like, the decisions you're making is terrible. And I think that's what you can relate to Gustavo, is like, he's trying to stop Pablo, yet still trying to make money and still trying to, have this empire. Of course, he's not, saying, "Oh, stop, you're hurting the little kids." But there's something about Gustavo where you follow his arc, you follow his story, and you just kind of like him because he's just not as deranged and crazy as Pablo. And he actually keeps Pablo at bay because Pablo could be more crazed and deranged. So I really did like Gustavo. The show makes me like him. Makes me kind of not root for him, of course. I want him to get captured, but it never wants me to have him actually be killed. It actually just wants me to have him be sent to jail and pay for the crimes he did to help Pablo, but never to have him die. With Pablo, it's a different story, but with Gustavo, I really never want Gustavo to die. So it was definitely interesting to see go from Carrillo, who's trying to capture Pablo, and then go from Gustavo, who is, he's a bandit. He's one of the guys who's he's a terrorist. If you think about it, he is the terrorist. He's the one that planted a lot of these bombs that were happening and stuff. Helped in the war. Didn't say anything about not killing kids or doing Pablo's bidding. But I think you really kind of grow with him because he's just so fucking loyal, man. This guy, just like Carrillo, who will never be turned, a leaf, who will never be bribed. Gustavo will never give up Pablo. He will never give up Pablo, which that's why I really kind of went for his character, because this guy is just this son of a bitch. Like, he took a beating a couple of times in these episodes, but he'll never give up Pablo, which was great. With Gustavo and Carrillo, it was really crazy to see that. Yeah, man, like, I like both these characters. They're just both in a different kind of side of the fence. So really great stuff, man. I mean, there's a lot of murder in here. There's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of people getting there's a lot of mafioso type stuff going on here. There's a lot of these cartels that you will recognize in other stuff, especially with Pablo's, like Medellin, I think it was called Medellin Cartel, where he has another bunch of other kingpins, and it's crazy to see all these people. They're extraditing them from Colombia to the U.S. and it's just a great overall story. Well, it's a great story because this guy was a menace. It's a true story. This guy was a menace. He needed to be stopped, and these guys were trying their best, their hardest to stop him. It took them years to do this, but I think the series really captures a lot of the great, a lot of feel where it does feel like kind of a mafia type film to me. It feels like definitely corruption is everywhere. It felt like it didn't feel like a Martin Scorsese film. A lot of times, there's only one Martin Scorsese, but it felt like a Blow film. It felt like Johnny Depp's Blow film, honestly, with the narration, with a lot of. I love the music in here. I love the editing. Every episode was very entertaining. The acting was superb. I think Narcos was definitely an A+. I'm so glad my friend introduced me to the show because I thought it was fantastic, and I could see why people were dressing their little kids as Pablo, which was like, why are you dressing your kids as Pablo? I don't get that, but the actor who played Pablo was fantastic. The side characters were fantastic. You really get into all the characters, especially Pablo's wife Tata, and especially the reporter Valerie. There's a lot of characters you remember, and there's a lot of deaths, and you get sad when some of these characters just bite the dust. That's just the way it is, especially with the cartel. And you see how dangerous the cartel is, and how Pablo was super dangerous as well, and how interesting it was. He could have been way worse if Gustavo isn't there, like speaking in his ears. So Narcos, Netflix, 10 episodes, about an hour, about 43 minutes. Check it out. Absolutely loved it. I recommend it. I'm Dan the Man, aka Daniel's son, and get ready for my Daredevil season 2 review. I will have that pretty soon once it comes out. And like the video, subscribe like always, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.